This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, Interim President of Middlesex Community College, and my guest today is Dave Hampton, who chairs the College Foundation and the Regional Advisory Council, and I think you've been on the foundation board for ever since it started.
Yes, I'm the great creator.
You're the great creator. I love it. How many years have you been on the? How many years
since 1978 when we first formed the foundation.
So you are a graduate of Middlesex
Yep.
Community College,
Class
right?
of 72.
So take me back to my youth. When did you first come to Middlesex Community College as a student?
September 1968. Happy-faced right out of high school, right out of the old Woodrow Wilson, and turned right around in September, came right back through the same doors, started attending classes.
So why did you come to Middlesex rather than someplace else?
It was local, and at the time, because it was 1968, there was an event happening, Vietnam, and for many of us it was go to college, go in the service. My original plan was go in the service, go into the Navy, and then that plan changed, and then I came to Middlesex Community College.
Do you happen to remember what the tuition was in those days?
No.
I mean, it's still pretty low, but I imagine it was incredibly low.
It wasn't much of
at
anything.
that time. A few hundred, probably.
Yeah, it wasn't much. I took student loans to pay for it, and they weren't much of anything. But I really don't remember.
So you majored in
liberal arts. Back then we had sport teams, athletic teams, and very good ones.
What did you play?
Soccer, track, and baseball.
And do you happen to remember why they gave them up?
I think it was just an economics consideration.
So you went to school 1968 to...
Well, I came here for a semester and a half.
Okay.
And realized that college wasn't for me at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it sort of foolish
Yep.
to take student loans and not really be serious about it. So joined the National Guard, did my active duty 6 months, came back.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, and we will be back momentarily. This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, Interim President of Middlesex Community College, and my guest today is Dave Hampton, and we were talking about his early years at Middlesex Community College. You started in '68 and graduated a few years later, and then I assume you went to work, or you were already at work.
Actually, yeah, I was working at Pratt & Whitney, like many of us. We went to school later in the day because being in the high school, you couldn't come in till 3. Classes didn't start till 3.
Right.
So a lot of people either worked third shift, or they'd work from 7, 8 o'clock in the morning till 2, whatever they did, and then showed up for classes between 3 and I think they ran until about 8 or 9. But as I said, I realized that college wasn't for me right at that particular moment. I went into the service, found out very graphically what happens to people who don't have an education, came back, took some more classes here, got my associates, and then went on to WestCon over in Danbury and got my bachelor's from there. And was happy. Life was good. I was working, and President Chapman decided that
he was the second president.
He was the second president, yes. Robert Chapman. And he decided that he wanted to start raising money for Middlesex Community College. And at that time, the president of my class, a fellow by the name of Don Murphy, was the president's assistant. Not sure the exact title, but
yeah.
And so Don started calling people and saying, faculty, staff, members of the community, and people that he knew that were alumni, to come in for a planning meeting to see how we could raise money for Middlesex Community College. That started in 1978. We called it the Alumni Steering Committee, and we met in the president's office, had a big table there that we met at, and that's what started to move fundraising forward. And we always chuckle, those of us who are still around, we laugh about how we used to ask people to give us $1 so we could get their name on the list. And from there, we just every year got better than the last year, and now we're in 2010, all these years later.
So you've been active with the foundation from 1968 all the way through to 2010 and beyond.
With the college, yes.
With the college. That's a long time.
I'm actually, my father, who was director of Vinyl Tech from 65 to 79, was on some of the search committees early on when they actually formed Middlesex Community College. So I'm actually the second generation of thinkers and planners, I guess, from
Wow.
Middlesex Community College.
So it's interesting that Middlesex Community College obviously played a much bigger role in your life than where you got your bachelor's degree.
Oh, absolutely. Middlesex Community College at that time was very much a family. Everyone, you knew almost everyone. And their pain, their suffering, their inability to fund going to school was everyone's issue. I don't know, I don't talk to too many of the students now, but I still get that same sense of through faculty and
I do.
staff.
There's some advantages in being a small institution.
Yeah. And so that really was what drove me. And then when we came back and we started to think about how to raise money for Middlesex, I realized that it was something that I really enjoyed doing. I've never been accused of not being able to talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask my wife, she says I was the guy who invented selling ice cubes to Eskimos. Because I just love doing that kind of stuff. And so that's what we did.
Do you remember, by any chance, about how much money you raised in that first year?
Oh, it was probably no more than, I think the first phone-a-thon, because that's how we started to raise money,
Yeah.
was a phone-a-thon.
Yeah.
I think we raised less than $2,000. And by the time we got done with doing phone-a-thons, because times had changed, how people communicate changed, answering machines came into play, so it was very difficult to get people on the phone. Our highest year was 15,000. And also, too, the Alumni Steering Committee was the parent, and we had already formed the foundation, which I'm now chairperson of.
Yeah.
And so we realized that if we were going to raise a significant amount of money, in which what we wanted to do was raise a lot of money, the foundation became the parent, and the phone-a-thon and the other fund vehicles became part of the foundation.
Do you remember what kinds of things the money was raised for in those days? I mean, today it would be mostly scholarships, but
Same as we're doing now. Campus projects, scholarships. We had a loan program for a while, which didn't go for very long because it wasn't practically, really couldn't sustain it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But all the same kinds of things. And, as a person who's been involved so long, as the actual, I joked before and I said I was the creator. My name is on the official document with the state registering the Alumni Steering Committee and the
In
foundation.
1968.
In 1978.
78. Excuse me. 68 is when you came as a
Yeah, 78
came
is
as a
when-
student.
68, yep.
So
In
you must
1970.
have, even 78, you were still pretty young.
Yeah, I was 29.
Why do you think President Chapman identified you? What was in you at the time?
Well, I played a lot of sports in my lifetime. I came from a family of teachers and business people. Both grandfathers were not only did other types of things, but very interesting that both my grandfather on my mother's side and my grandfather on my father's side both had stores, and that was the base of their income. The Hampton side were farmers in Alabama, and the Italian side, which was in New York, and he had a deli, grocery kind of store, and that was the base funding for the family. But both grandparents believed very much in education. And so I came out of that background. And I think with the sports as well, I learned that teams do much better than individuals. You can succeed as an individual, but if you have others who believe in your mission, if you have others who are willing to not only perceptionally understand what you're trying to do, but actually roll up your sleeves and do the work. And that was our first years as alumni steering committee. We did everything. We drafted letters. We stuffed envelopes. We made telephone calls. We encouraged people to join us. It was a real roll up your sleeves and do something kind of operation.
Now, did you ever at that time talk with people at Wesleyan about Wesleyan University, about how they raise money? So of course, it's a totally different kind of institution, but even so.
Well, it is a different institution. Obviously, it's much larger. It's very successful in their fundraising. And yes, we talk to them, their fundraising folks, we talk to them all the time. And I always tease them because I told them we steal everything we possibly can from them as far as ideas and thoughts. And they were always good with that.
We still do.
Yeah, and we still do, yes.
The president of Wesleyan was on our campus just a little while back, and I was stealing from him all until he got into his car.
Yeah, and I'm very proud of the fact that in all the years that Middlesex Community College has individuals graduate from Middlesex Community College and put an application to go to Wesleyan as their second institution, not one person has been declined in the entire history of Middlesex Community College. And that's a very impressive record.
It is. And we have several employees, of course, who are graduates of Wesleyan.
Yeah.
What's the most dramatic thing you've observed over the years in the history of this college, of Middlesex?
The most dramatic, I think, the campus would be, I guess, the big one.
The move to the new campus.
Yeah, the move to the new campus.
When was that about?
Oh, I'm 78. We were already here. Mid-70s.
Okay. So when you began with the foundation, we were already on the present side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But so I think that was a significant move. I think that the college really embracing what they were and what they could be, faculty and staff, and then the students that came here. I'm always amazed when we give out awards or have any kind of presentations. You see the GPAs that come out of Middlesex Community College, high 3s, 4s.
Yeah.
It's just is amazing. And so I would think on the positive side.
And the colleges people go on to.
And the colleges people go on to, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, and we'll be back momentarily. This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, Interim President of Middlesex Community College, and my guest today is Dave Hampton, who must have more of the history of this college in his head than almost anyone else I can think of. You were a student here in the late 60s. Then you came back 10 years or so later at the request of the president and helped start the foundation. You're now president of the foundation, so you've been with the foundation all those years, from 1978 through 2010, and maybe another 30 years, 20 years, whatever.
Well,
I mean, wow. So you remember when they moved to this campus?
Yeah, I was away at the time, during the time of construction. I was working out of town, but I believe it was mid-70s that they moved up here. But yeah, life is strange. I mean, if you had asked me when I left, we had a commencement at CVH, because the history is we were at Middlesex Community College, then at Woodrow Wilson High School.
Right.
Then we went up to CVH, and then we came here onto the present campus. And as I left the doors of the auditorium with my diploma in hand, if you had asked me, was I ever going to be coming back to Middlesex Community College, like most people, I would have probably said no. I went there, I did what I had to do, and now I'm moving on. Because the culture is, you get your bachelor's, and that's where you're, if you do the 4 years, that's where you're absolutely loyal to. The fascinating thing about...
Well, I'm trying to change that, but keep talking, yes.
I think the fascinating thing about community colleges is the people who attend them are fiercely loyal. Even if they go on to major institutions, like we were talking about Wesleyan earlier, they still make contact with us. And, I was just happened to be at a golf tournament and started talking to two fellas, and they said, "Oh yeah, we went to Middlesex. We played baseball. What are you guys doing?" Of course, I went into if you really want to know about Middlesex Community College, come to our website, do this, do that, and certainly, if you would like to give money, let me have your name and address, and I'll make sure an envelope gets to you. But that experience.
Well, I laugh when you say if you'd like to give money. People don't realize that even $25, $50 to a college foundation can make a huge difference. It doesn't have to be millions of dollars. And anyone listening can send you $25, $50, $100
Yep.
to the Middlesex Community College Foundation. It adds up. I mean, these scholarships to people who really don't have very much at all are really, really important.
We started with $1. We asked
$1.
We
I
asked
love it.
people
Yeah.
if you couldn't do anything else, give us $1. Literally, give us $1. We could put your name on our list, and then when we went to the Pratt and Whitneys and the Aetnas and the Hartfords and whomever's, we would have your name on a list, and we could say, look at all the people who support Middlesex Community College.
Often those companies are more interested in the number of people who contribute than in the actual amount.
Yep.
So what's the biggest change you've observed in, if my math is correct, 30, almost 40 years now?
Almost 40, yep. Well, I think, again, I would say that the campus as the footprint. I think what has changed over the years is that the institution has turned from, we're an educational institution, we're part of this great big program, community colleges, Connecticut Community College System, national community colleges, so we're part of the national higher education family, so to speak. But I think what I've noticed is that through the different presidents, we keep moving into a better position as far as embracing how well we do things. I mean, we have some programs at Middlesex Community College that are second to none. And that's the story we try to tell to people, is you can't go anywhere in Middlesex, New Haven, or Hartford counties, get an MRI, a CAT scan, X-rays, without bumping into somebody who's had some interaction through our either radiology program and now the nursing program, and our ODD program with the eyeglasses that they do is a phenomenal program. We have the multimedia, well, now they've changed their title. It used to be multimedia, all the TV stuff. For a while, most of the people behind the cameras at CPTV were our alumni. And so how we have gone out into the community, one person at a time, and brought in an entire family of individuals, because now we have multiple graduates from the same family that are not only out there, but I think we actually have 3 on campus right now. I think somebody gave me that number. We have 3 groups of family members that are here on campus. So that change of these individuals going out into the community, working in the community, and then saying very proudly, I went to Middlesex Community College. I took classes at Middlesex Community College, even if they didn't graduate from here.
I guess what I'm most surprised by, and I've only been here a few months, is just the quality of what goes on in most of the classrooms. It's very good. And people go from here to UConn or Central or wherever, and then they come back and tell us, sometimes angrily, sometimes not, that the quality of the teaching is better here than the high-priced institutions they went on to. Obviously, it's not 100%, but I'm impressed with, I've told people if my own granddaughter wanted to come here, I'd be quite happy. I'd be quite happy with that. Of course, I'm only here for a short time till there's a new president. Then I go back to my dotage or retirement or whatever you want to call it.
I have a very unique perspective because I was a student for a long while. Many of the people who were my professors were also involved in the Alumni Steering Committee and the fundraising part. And then they started to turn to me. And you asked me earlier, what did I think Bob Chapman saw in me to say to me, okay, this group is going to need a leader, and I think you're it. And my response to him at first was I was 29 or 30 years old, and I said, look, these are some of my professors sitting at the table. I'm going to be a little uncomfortable, leading them. And he said, well, if you would allow me to, I would be happy to teach you how to run an organization, how to be in a leadership position. And so I said yes to that. And so as we moved forward, we all embraced that idea of doing something good for Middlesex Community College and raising money. And so I think that's what he saw in me. And I never could say thank you to him because...
Well, you can. He's going to be here at the beginning of June. He's going to come for commencement.
Yeah, but whatever words I choose aren't ever going to express, because I took what I learned at Middlesex Community College, not only as a student, but what I also learned in all those committee meetings and working with individuals. I then translated that to a very successful federal career for the Social Security Administration, and then I moved that into the business that I have now. And all of the success that I've had in my life, I am not embarrassed to say this at all the success that I've had is because of what I learned starting in those classrooms in 1968 and developing on that over the years.
Project a little bit, 5 or 10 years, if we were sitting here talking. What do you want to see that's different or the same, for that matter, at Middlesex Community College?
I'd like to see more buildings. I think we need more buildings here, at least one more here. I would like to see a campus over in Meriden, and I'd like to see a bigger footprint down in the shoreline. I think those are the three things that we need to stay focused on. And the next couple of presidents, the inside joke, Bob Chapman teased me one time about how long I was going to be involved with fundraising, that kind of stuff. And I said, well, yeah, first 50 years and then you're on your own. Well, little did I know that 50 years.
Well, you've got another 10.
Another 6, yeah.
Or another
coming.
6.
About 6 years, I guess.
I think that's realistic. Right now, in the middle of a recession, I suppose, those things come to an end eventually.
They're cyclical.
Hopes. They're cyclical. And if the college is ready and the community is ready, it can happen. Meriden, there's enormous enthusiasm for this college over in Meriden. Yep. The shoreline, you'll have to tell me more about that. I don't know as much about that. We do have classes in Old Saybrook, but frankly, I haven't spent as much time there as I should have.
And that's about the end of that story. We have classes there, and we really need.
Yeah, we need more of a presence there.
Yeah, we need more of a presence there because we do get a significant number of students from the shoreline, and so those are the areas that I'd love to see sports come back, but I don't know if financially that's something we'd be able to do.
Not this year.
Yeah, that's the old jock in me,
There are some students for whom sports are immensely important, and that's what keeps them tied to higher education. So I'm all pro sports, but anything that costs money these days we have to say no to, at least for a while, unless you raise $1 million. Well, it's been absolutely fascinating to talk to someone who has 40 years of history with Middlesex Community College. We could go on forever. This has been Middlesex Moments. My guest has been Dave Hampton. Take a look at our website, mxcc.comnet, with 2 M's in it, comnet.edu. I'm Jonathan Daube, Interim President of Middlesex Community College. Have a good day.